Let me die! Let me die in peace!
Greetings, fellow mortals. Just a reminder, saying it's just my opinion is for cowards. I don't care if everyone disagrees with me. Argue your points. If you have a convincing perspective, you will change my mind. The Walking Dead. It's weird to think that it's been over a decade since the first season of Telltale's The Walking Dead arrived like a comet soaring across the heavens. Back then, tie-in games were still a lot more prevalent, and the vast majority of them sucked epic donkey balls. But this one was different. It was made by people passionate about the project. They took their time and wrote their asses off, making you care about the story of Lee and Clementine. Over the course of 2012, Telltale released 5 episodes that led to an explosive conclusion that had me bawling. Compare this to Walking Dead Destinies, more than a decade later, and this game is worse than Telltale's game in every single conceivable way. Not just the writing, the graphics, and the gameplay too. And that is saying something. No one plays a point-and-click adventure game from Telltale for the thrilling gameplay, but the graphics make sense because Telltale went with art direction over cutting-edge technology, and that always makes games look better in the long run. So over a decade later, we have a product which is objectively worse in every single way. It's almost like it's a perfect metaphor for the series as a whole.
Really makes you think.
Now, this could be the point where I talk about the extreme highs and lows of 2023, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about the absolute state of The Walking Dead. Last year, the original show ended, and this year, the spin-off, Fear the Walking Dead, concluded as well. Both of which I did not watch. Not going to lie, I haven't watched the original show since Carl died. Oh, spoilers I guess, by the way, if you actually care. And I gave up on Fear the Walking Dead partway through season 2. I remember Strand was an interesting character, but that's about it. So I can't say if the endings were any good or not, but I haven't heard a single word about them at all, and the silence is deafening. But even then, it's still not over. There are 4 more shows coming out right now. Dead City, Daryl Dixon, The Ones Who Lives, and more tales from The Walking Dead. Oh my god. Enough. A little over a year after I said that The Walking Dead became its own namesake, it multiplied worse than I thought possible. It's literally consumerism at its worst. Just content for content's sake. This is literally what zombies were made to represent. I feel like I'm losing my mind here with the shows and the games, not just Destinies. Don't forget that there are still mobile games out there, and the merchandise and the books, and there will probably be movies in theaters sooner rather than later. Please, someone just tag me out of this.
Oh, no.
But love of storytelling, you might ask. You always say that you try not to talk about the things that you hate. Why are you talking about The Walking Dead? And that's a good point, but here's the thing. I have never hated The Walking Dead. At worst, I felt disappointed in it and just plain sad as I walked away from a series that I used to love without knowing the ending, without caring about the ending. Now that's a first. No matter how terrible something has gotten, no matter the problems that have arrived, I have always forced myself to see the ending, or to at least read about it in summary. I have no idea how this show ended, or what these new shows are really about, because I just don't care. I have an intense, burning indifference. And if that is not the death of art, then I do not know what is. The Walking Dead just keeps dragging itself forward, inch by inch, centimeter by centimeter. It decays more and more with each passing year, month, week, and day. Eventually, it won't have the ability to move forward at all. It'll just die, and not a soul in the world will care. It's the most depressing end to a franchise ever. At least things like Marvel, Star Wars, and Star Trek get reactions from people. They're stupid reactions at this point. Clap at the member berries or be angry at the changes. That's all that's left. The Walking Dead is just going on because people want something to fall asleep to on Sunday night.
How does it feel to have lived long enough to see all of your favorite franchises go down in flames?
Feels great.
Last year, I said that I would be fine if this series kept going just because of how much money it made, just because of how many jobs it gave to people in creative fields. But here's the thing, that's all it is at this point. It's just a paycheck. There is no longer any artistic integrity in it whatsoever. Even from clips, I can tell that the only people that care at all anymore is the special effects team. That's the only positive that I can never at any point take away from The Walking Dead. The practical effects with the walkers have always been amazing. So I'm glad that those people are still getting work. But can we say the same thing about everyone else involved? Do the actors really care after more than a decade of this? They probably just want to move on with their careers at this point. The same thing with the writers and the directors, they just don't really care. The audience doesn't really care either, and that is just depressing. There aren't any fights about this. There aren't any debates. It's just, well, there's new Walking Dead content out there. People weren't even really mad about the game. Destiny's rivals Gollum and Kong as one of the worst games of 2023, and no one is really that upset about it. In fact, everyone expected Destiny's to be terrible because it is a Walking Dead tie-in game that is focused on the nostalgia of seasons 1, 2, and 3. Everyone would have been more surprised if it was any good at all. And that's sad because literally the best story that we have ever gotten from the Walking Dead universe comes from a video game. What are we even doing?
Life sucks, and then you die.
It's not like there aren't any good ways left to do zombie stories anymore. Telltale's first season puts everything else to shame, even its cheap knockoff The Last of Us, and this is a joke by the way, I do like that game and the show. The Last of Us is another good example of what they could do. One person is immune, oh, what do we do? Or you could do a factions type of storyline like in Dying Light 2. Now that wasn't a great story, but come on, the idea was good at least. Or I could be completely unfair and go to other countries for examples, mainly Japan and Korea. If you want one of the best zombie movies ever made, watch Train to Busan. But there's other things like #Alive and All of Us Are Dead, which are really good as well. Or if you want an example of a story from this year, Bucket List of the Dead was a good twist on the symbolism of zombies. Instead of just raw consumerism, the undead was a commentary on the work-life balance in modern society, especially in Japan. Now, this one has a lot of fan service in it, even with the zombies, which was a little gross. But whatever, what are you gonna do? Anime is always going to be anime. Unfortunately, that one is on indefinite hiatus, at least for the show, so you'll need to go read the manga if you want the full story. I swear though, I promise I am not becoming a weeb. It's just been a rough couple of years with Western entertainment because of all of the arguments and all of the problems that came from COVID and from the strike. Not to say that everything is perfect, but recently I've been enjoying more Eastern entertainment over Western entertainment. Anime, K-dramas, and my most anticipated games of next year are Like a Dragon 8 Infinite Wealth, Persona 3 Reload, and Final Fantasy 7. And one of the two movies that I want to see in December is Godzilla -1, with the other one being Iron Claw. And at least the second one breaks the trend, but that is another can of worms in my life that I cannot explain without going into excruciating detail.
I'm not crying. I'm just sweating through my eyes.
At this point, The Walking Dead really needs a break, or at the very least, they need a giant time skip, like 100 years in the future, if you're going to keep going with this series. Everyone we know in the show should be dead at this point. Society has slowly built its way back up. For the most part, things are under control, but the situation could explode under the wrong circumstances. There could be numerous closed-off cities connected by specially constructed roads. The population is slowly growing, but a lot of precautions need to be taken in case someone dies and becomes a walker. Everyone in critical condition is chained to the bed. A lot of freedoms have been given up in this type of life. There's a mandatory breeding program so the population doesn't plummet again, and everyone accepts this because it's the way it has to be, because everyone is well aware of what happens when these policies aren't in place. It's just one idea, but it could spark interest again. Still, I do think that a break would be best. Let people miss The Walking Dead first. Nostalgia can only work if something goes away first. Then, when people start remembering The Walking Dead fondly, bring something new to the table. It is the only way to reanimate this corpse at this point. You're welcome to disagree with me. That's fine. After all, everyone is entitled to their objectively wrong opinion.
Stop! He's already dead.
Hey, do you like stories about an interconnected world? Then consider giving my LPCO books a try. They are all connected in some way, but you can jump in at any point, unless it's a series. Then you have to start at the beginning. But I got 3 books out right now and 3 coming next year. You will not have to wait long for content. Either way, thank you. I appreciate you. Do not despair.